So, welcome to Northern Powerhouses, our business success stories series of interviews where we discuss with local business leaders their backgrounds, their successes and challenges, and what's really driving them forwards. And this afternoon, I'm delighted to have with us Annie Berrington, who's the managing director at Get Out More. So, Annie, firstly, thank you so much for spending some time with us. If you'd like to introduce yourself and Get Out More, what you do and how you help people, that would be wonderful.
Hi, well, thank you for having us, Chris. So I'm Annie Berrington. I'm the founder and managing director at Get Out More CIC, and we exist to connect communities with nature. So we are a social enterprise, and our mission is to help people engage with nature to feel better in mind and body. And what that might look like is programs in schools and nurseries and with organisations and businesses, things like forest school, but also learning programs, wellbeing and development programs for people of all ages across Bradford and beyond.
Wonderful. Well, it's certainly getting out the countryside certainly works for me. So I'm 100% behind everything you're doing. And what a wonderful thing to do, because you see these sort of stats or stories about, especially in inner city kids that don't really, get it. And I'm lucky enough to be brought up on a farm in North Wales and just love being outdoors. So that's absolutely wonderful. So, I mean, Annie, if you be kind of talking a little bit about your background, how you came to this point of founding Get Out More.
Well, I suppose like yourself, I grew up in the countryside in rural North Yorkshire, just on the edge of the Yorkshire Dales. And like most of my friends in the 70s, we just played out all the time. I feel like I grew up outdoors and just had a real kind of connection with it and a love for it. But my kind of career, I suppose, went into the arts. I was very interested in the arts and photography, and ended up through various different jobs, ended up working in community arts in Bradford. So I really enjoyed that community aspect of things. But it was just a chance invitation, really, to do some forest school training that Bradford Council had put on, that led me to do a few days in the woods, learning about how to connect people with nature through the forest school approach. And after that, I came back to my job and handed him a notice because I thought, I know what I want to do with the rest of my life.
Wonderful.
It really kind of struck a chord with me that
Yes.
I'd had this wonderful experience of growing up outdoors, but that other people don't necessarily have that.
Yeah.
Actually, this kind of change in society that meant children are more living indoor lives, and all of us are living more kind of connected to technology. It meant we were missing out on something, and sometimes that thing that we're missing out on is a sense of our own well-being.
Yeah. Wow. Well, it is interesting, as you said, because growing up, in the country, you don't really realize what it would be like not to, if that makes sense. So it's difficult to connect with that, but because I know how enriching that has been in my life. So founding, growing, Get Out More, what are some of the key challenges you've had to overcome?
Well, we've been going for nearly 12 years now, and in that time we've seen huge kind of changes in the economy and also in the environment. So I think one of the most kind of simple and basic challenges is climate change is here.
Yes.
We're working outdoors, and it's a lot wetter.
Yes.
And sometimes a lot hotter than it used to be. And that's, that's a challenge in itself. I've just been out running some forest schools this half term, and it rained almost all the time. And I'm not saying that puts us off. We can still keep going, but we are experiencing a change in our climate, and that can be a struggle often when people don't necessarily have the right clothes or right footwear to be outside, or, we've got used to being inside with our central heating and all our cozy comforts, and people don't always want to come out as much as they they don't realize what they can benefit from it if the weather's cold or wet. And these days winter seems to last for about 7 months, I think. So that's an immediate challenge, but one we rise to. But then there's also the challenge, we are a social enterprise. We're reliant on income from a range of different sources, from grants through to contracted work through to sales, and cost of living crisis, more competition in the
Yep.
market, greater need out there for grants means,
Yes.
it's a challenge to bring in for any business, isn't it? It's a
Yes.
challenge for all businesses to draw in that money to keep going.
Absolutely, and I've worked with one or two social enterprises and charities historically, and it's as you say, there's a lot of people looking for that. Unfortunately, the available resources are have reduced both centrally, but also, as you rightly say, about people's ability or ability to donate and support. Not definitely not their desire. I know that's not the case from.
And meanwhile, the demand rises because a lot of our work is in communities. We're working with people with mental health issues. We're working with families who might not have a great deal of income.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different needs within schools. It seems to be a kind of rise in numbers of children with additional needs.
Yes.
And all of these things, are the things that we can support. But the demand is rising without the necessary income rising to meet it.
No, I totally get that. So, I mean, obviously, talk about challenging. What are the things? What are the biggest things you've learned about running a business?
Such a lot of things. I think I've had quite a lot of support from the School for Social Entrepreneurs along the way. And one of the things that really stuck with me on one of the programs was play with your head up. It was really important to focus on where you're going and to kind of see the future that you want and have a vision for what you're trying to achieve, and just kind of keep your eye on that.
Yes.
I'm someone that sort of by nature, I think, can look into detail, and sometimes you can get too much focused on that. And actually, what I've really learned is to kind of play with your head up, see the big picture, trust in other people, and kind of get the support around you to get to where you're going or where you want to be going.
Brilliant. It's an interesting thing. I always find any obstacle that faces us, if we get too close, or can seem like a dead end. Whereas if we take a step back and look at, as you say, the big picture, increase our vision, then we can see things for what they often are, which is just an obstacle to overcome rather than a blockage or a dead end.
That's it. And I think, you've just got to kind of trust in the future that you want to have, and to be able to work towards it. And I think, especially as leaders of organisations, it's our role to hold that picture and to inspire other people to kind of follow you towards it.
Couldn't agree more. Vision, values, purpose, these things are things we have, every organisation, every team, every need, and it's our job as founders to maintain, to communicate, to support, make sure everybody knows what's going on and why, and maintain that vision, because vision can be by problems and those sorts of things. Well, yes, no, totally makes sense. And you probably we're a business coaching organisation. I'm keen to know who the best coaches are that you've worked with, whether that's business, sport, life. Who have been the biggest influences on you.
I mean, I can never remember names of individuals, but I think through some of the support I've had through Power to Change and School for Social Entrepreneurs and Unlimited, I've met a lot of people who've been along this journey and have inspired me with kind of help and advice to support with that. I've had a coach called Bev Morton, who I've done a lot of work with. I've known her for years, actually, before I even got into this line of work. And I think there's a lot of really inspiring people in this sort of outdoor sector.
Yes.
Not least Kindling Training, I've been doing training with, and now I'm kind of taking up the training mantle with. And I think just having those sort of mentors, people around you that kind of inspire and help you to kind of see what good really looks like.
Brilliant, absolutely, and it's great to know we're not alone, because that's the other challenge with founding your own organisation is it can get a bit lonely, can't it? And it's having people that you can draw on, and even just for a kind word, but often for a very valuable idea or some advice is fundamental. And have you picked up any favourite quotes or sayings that you catch yourself using on a regular basis?
Well, the play with your head up one.
I was going to say, yeah, that's obviously.
I have another quote by my desk actually, which isn't sort of business related, but it's related to our business, and it inspires me to think about what we're doing and why we're doing it. And it's David Attenborough, though I think others have also said it. No one will protect what they don't care about, and no one will care about what they haven't experienced. You know, we ask a lot of people to protect nature and to look after the environment, but if you don't have a connection with it, you know, like we were brought up in the countryside, but other people aren't, and yet we kind of blame them for not, you know, looking after woodland or dropping litter. But if that's not important, if that's not being part of your value set, so I think the stuff we do about introducing people to nature, giving people their first experiences and understanding all the potential of it is part of that road along to protecting the planet and
wonderful.
the climate.
Again, makes sense, absolute sense. I'm just thinking, I'm lucky enough to travel quite a lot and travel into places that you know often are, you know, more than urban, you know, into the different places, and the experience is what it really makes a difference. If you have never experienced that, why would I care? You know, animals on a TV screen are beautiful animals, but it's the engaging with them and interacting with them, I think, is and
I think it isn't necessarily about just, you know, going to beautiful far-flung places, you know, lovely as it is for us to take groups up to the Dales. We work in Bradford and there's some fantastic places right in the heart of the city, and it's just about discovering them and kind of finding some connection with them.
There's an amazing place in the middle of York. I'm trying to think what it's called. I was speaking to the CEO of that a little while ago, and you know, you wouldn't even know, and I didn't know it was there. It was like
Is it St Nick's?
St Nick's, sorry, exactly.
St Nick's. Yeah, it is. That's a great place. Yeah,
and it's just like, you know, and it's like, well, you wouldn't expect it, as you said, you wouldn't expect it to be there. The thing I remember a long time ago, I've only done it once. There's a little canal trip across from Murfield through up to sort of Sowerby Bridge, and so you're going through. I'm not geography's not great, but places like Halifax and places. So, you know, and that canal, you wouldn't know that you were in the middle of a city because it's like this little idyll of trees.
Yeah,
and plants.
That's it. And you know, we're based in Keighley. We have the Leeds Liverpool Canal here, and it's this sort of greenway, really. You know, we've got kingfishers and all sorts of bird life on there. And it's just kind of running all the way through, easy for us to access. But if you don't know it's there, you don't know it's there.
Absolutely. I mean, you know, on a map, it's just a canal, which doesn't really necessarily engage when you go and you realise how beautiful it can be. Wonderful. And what would you say, Annie, that you've learned about yourself as you've gone through your journey so far?
Yeah. So when I first started doing this, I was a freelancer. I hadn't set up Get Out More until 2012. So I had about 2 years of being a freelancer, and then I started to build a business. And I think I have learned over time to not be such a perfectionist and to let go of things. I had a tendency to feel that I had to do it for it to be done well, and I still often find myself straying into that place. But I think what I've learned is that if you let go and also support people and play to their strengths, you could really build a team around you that not only do things as well as you did, but do things better than you did. And you've given yourself some space and time to do the things that you're best at as well.
Absolutely.
So sort of to let go a little bit and trust, and to delegate. And I think, you know, there's times when my team will say, yeah, you can still do a bit more of that. But, you know, it's a work in progress, and I recognise that. And I see it in others when people are starting out. You know, I see that stress and that busyness and that kind of not being able to take time off and time out from it. And I kind of, you know, I want to say, you know, do let go a bit, because the job's important, but you're important too. You have to look after yourself. And actually, there are other people around that can support you. And until you get to the place when you can employ people, there are still people that can support you in different ways. You know, one of my first appointments was a colleague from a previous role, and I employed her on 4 hours a week, which was great for her at the time. And she now does 28. She's still here, and and she's someone that I really come to rely on. So it's just about kind of letting go and giving people the opportunity for them to grow as well.
Absolutely, and ultimately we can get more done. If we do, we've only got one unit. Even if other people don't do it quite as well as us, we can still get 5, 6, 8, 10 more units. It's a difficult thing though, especially if we were a little bit perfectionist, as you said, I think, and want to be in control. It's a great lesson to learn, to start to do it, but stay in control. That with effective delegation, monitoring, reporting, these things, we can still be totally in control of the output without actually doing much, if any, of the work itself.
Yeah.
Wonderful. So, I mean, it's great, wonderful things you're doing. You're 12 years in, and you may or may not be aware of the stats, but to get to 10 years puts you in the top 4% of organisations.
Oh, really?
It's I mean, there's terrible. One of the reasons we do what we do, I do what we do, is the real terrible stats of business failure and success, which is on average, it's a very broad industry stat, but on average, 80% of organisations, businesses fail in the first 5 years of operation, and of the 20% that survive, 80% of those fail in the following 5 years. It's a terrible thing.
And I wonder how many of those. Well, the kind of reason we often think they fail is because of income, not being able to generate enough income. But I wonder how many of that percentage fail because of capacity, that people can't keep up the workload and can't keep it.
Yes.
It has too much of an impact on themselves.
I mean, I've seen it. I saw it myself, funny enough, in my own business historically, but also see it in too many business people, that it's that breakthrough that you were just talking about. Of you get to a certain, I mean, you get basically, for me, you get to a certain size with a few good people, sheer blood and guts, just work really hard, and as you say, But the challenge is once the growth is limited by our time, and we run out of time, we can't grow the business any further. And a business, fails to a stagnating business is actually a dying business. Businesses are like trees, which is a good analogy. They're either growing or dying. They don't just stay the same. So and too many people, it's a big part of what we do in terms of mindset. If they don't change that mindset from being about them to being about the team and building a team that will get things done, then that's a big part of why businesses, in my opinion, do fail. Is yes, that can lead to a lack of sales, because again, if the owner or the owners are focused on doing and selling and everything, then ultimately, as we grow, we're going to run out of the ability to keep that cycle going. Which is a real shame. So that's great. So what does 12 years in, what's the future look like?
Well, we are hoping to move to new premises. So the office that I'm sitting in is in a business centre. We're just kind of in almost like an incubator unit, which I think we've outgrown. But more than that, we've always had, or for a long time, we've had this vision of having a kind of green community hub, like St. Nick's, actually. That was part of the inspiration.
Wonderful.
Where we can build a community around us. So to have some green space on our doorstep, because I can't even see out these windows, but if I could, there'd be a factory. There is a factory right behind me. So we've got, I can't say where it is yet, but we have got a place in mind in Keighley with green space right outside the door to be able to run our programmes. So we can run not just forest school and play, but volunteering, wellbeing sessions, training programmes from our own site. So that's
wonderful,
coming up in the spring, all being well. And we're also hoping to run more programmes for businesses and do some kind of workplace wellbeing programmes for businesses that we know or businesses that we don't know, because we know that need and stress and disadvantage doesn't just happen in communities, it happens in businesses as well, like burnout that we were just talking about.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Good. Well, it'd be good to introduce you to some local businesses if we can. That would be wonderful.
Yeah, I'd love to tell them about it.
Yeah, no, we definitely. Yeah, be great to make that happen. We have some clients over in Bradford, also in Leeds, etc. So certainly right on your doorstep. And what would you say to anyone that was thinking of going to business right now, Annie? What would be your best advice?
Well, I'm going to do a little plug for thinking about social enterprise as an idea for business,
Great.
because I think that if you have a desire to change the world, whether that's in your local community, whether that's a park or green space, or whether you're thinking on a global level, or, communities the other side of the world, social enterprise is a really good vehicle for doing that, because not only is it a business with purpose that it has values. We talk about this triple bottom line, so we benefit. We have a financial bottom line like any business does, and that's a good driving force to keep things going. But we have a social and environmental bottom line as well, so we're generating a profit on this triple bottom line. So I would really encourage people to think about a business as a vehicle for change, and a great way to make a living, because having purpose is a hugely satisfying thing to do, and it doesn't just have to be outside your work life. You can marry your values and your sense of purpose within your job through social enterprise. So I think setting up a business is great. Setting up a social enterprise type of business, I think, is even greater. And I think we could really, make a huge change to society if more businesses took a social enterprising approach.
Yeah. Wonderful. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And if you started your business again, is there anything significant that you think you might do differently?
Yeah, I was thinking about this because I started, it was just me to begin with, and I started doing a small number of services in a wide geographical area.
Yes.
So basically doing a lot of forest school, but right across West Yorkshire and even into some North Yorkshire. And then over time, we're doing a larger number of services, but in a smaller geographical area. So we're sort of mainly Bradford district based now, and a lot of our work is in Keighley. We still work across in Bradford and the rest of the districts as well, but we're kind of focusing in. So, and I feel like it makes more of an impact that way.
Yeah.
Because it's not just project based. We can support people to come in one place. They might come to a community event, but then they might want to stay and do some more skills development, and then they might want to go on to one of our volunteering programs. That might lead to training. They might then come and work for us, as has happened with one of our trainees. Right. It's kind of come full circle and is now employed by us. And I just think that that impact, it's not just about making enough work to build up a business. Yes. It's about making it an impact that we can kind of follow through. So I think that's what I'd do differently. I would go smaller geographical area, but broaden the services, because
brilliant.
People often think about us just doing programs with children, but actually we're working with all ages through to older people as well now.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And finally, what would be the best advice you'd give an 18-year-old you if you could go back in time and do so?
I would say, don't worry about it. It'll be all right. Because I think at that age, you do spend a lot of time worrying what the future is going to bring. And that, the wisdom of age is that it kind of will come to. And I think I'd also say, I think an older uncle told me that youth was wasted on the young.
Yes.
And I know what he means now. Because I think I was in such a hurry to, get a degree and get a career and everything, that I could have, slowed down a bit, done a bit more traveling and seen a bit more of the world as a young person. But, I'll still do that as an older person.
Absolutely.
Don't rush it, just enjoy it and relax.
My kids are 21 and 17, and the 21-year-old's settled down in many ways, but the 17-year-old's looking at, and I just want to support her if she wants to go and travel, do some stuff. That'd be great. Whatever she wants to do, obviously. I think that's what you always do with your kids. But it's nice
Yeah.
to see that she, as you rightly say, she's got time. It's not
Yeah.
prescripted that you have to start university at a certain age anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, it's
Yeah.
okay to have a year out or a year out halfway through,
Or not go at all,
or not.
because
Absolutely.
I think, a lot of my learning, a lot of my best learning and my ideas and things have come post university.
Yeah. I completely agree. I mean, that is definitely one of the options as well. Is just not go and do different things, and it's nice
Yeah.
to see that. So I think society allows that, not allows, what's the right word, supports that flexibility more now than I know when I went traveling. Now I was actually in late 20s, so it was actually a hiatus of work. And it was like everyone was shocked. It was like, well, how could you possibly do that? How can you possibly get a job when you come back and you've not been there for 18 months and stuff like that? And it was the best thing we ever did. And we actually got work because we'd been traveling, not despite it. It was
Yeah.
really interesting learning that in many ways. And it's been really delightful, and I so support everything you're doing because I'm lucky enough to be, as I say, grown up in the countryside. And for anyone that's watching that would like to get in touch with you or get out more, what would be the best way to do that?
Well, our website is quite straightforward. It's getoutmorecic.co.uk, and you'll
Brilliant,
find everything that we do in there, all the services that we provide, and contact details, and even kind of what events we've got coming up.
brilliant.
Interested to come along. So I'd start there, I think. But we're also on all the social medias, Get Out More CIC.
Perfect, thank you. And yeah, no, it'd be great to swing by another 6 to 12 months and just see. Hopefully, you can tell us about about the new
Yeah.
premises, the new venue. So that'd be wonderful. So thank you so much for your time, Ted. It's been really been fascinating, and yeah, be great to talk again soon.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.